First-person shooters are easily my most played genre of video game. It was the first kind of video game I ever played, my first shooter being one of those crappy licensed hunting games that got pushed out a lot in the Xbox 360 days. Needless to say, I've been around the block plenty of times in this genre, playing as many titles as I could over the years. You name it, I've probably played it. Through all of the games I've played though, one has always stood in the back of my mind as an absolute classic that deserves more recognition. A game that takes the best parts of classic action films and amplifies them to the max to create a fantastic experience. That game is F.E.A.R. F.E.A.R. is easily one of the greatest first-person shooters I have ever played. It takes the core elements of the FPS genre and amplifies them to create an incredibly satisfying combat experience. Firstly, F.E.A.R. takes the workhorse weapons of the genre and cranks them up to 11. The assault rifle feels closer to a light machine gun with its drum magazine rate of fire. The submachine gun is a legitimate bullet hose. And the shotgun is a full-blown work of art. The shotgun in this game is a strong contender for the greatest shotgun in a video game, alongside classics like the super shotgun from Doom or the sawed-off from Blood. This thing is an absolute monster, often killing enemies in a single shot and blowing them back with the sheer amount of force. Sometimes the raw power of this thing will straight up vaporize them. Alongside these mainstays of the genre, F.E.A.R. also brings along some of its own unique toys to the table. Take, for instance, the portable flat cannon, the nail gun that pins enemies to walls, and the rail gun that legitimately turns enemies into skeletons. This mix of traditional and unconventional weaponry combined with their technical absurdity makes F.E.A.R.'s gunplay really fun and unique. Of course, weapons are cool and all, but they fall flat if they don't feel impactful. I've played multiple games where the weapons felt like water guns since neither the enemies nor the environments had any reaction to you. F.E.A.R. does not have this problem, as the environments in this game are complementary to the action. F.E.A.R.'s environments themselves are fairly basic, consisting of industrial zones, offices, and laboratories. However, they make awesome playgrounds for gunfights. The reason why is that F.E.A.R. puts a large amount of emphasis on particle effects and lighting. Regardless of what part of the level you hit, it will produce the proper particle effect and a lot of it. This means that gunfights will always have showers of sparks, clouds of smoke, and tons of debris flying around the combat zone. Bullets will blow out sizable sections of the walls, glass will violently shatter when shot, and electrical equipment will shoot out bolts of electricity when shot. It's comparable to a scene right out of a John Woo film. All the environmental chaos going on in the background of your gunfights makes your weapons feel really strong, while also boosting the intensity of the action. No other shooter I've played has really hit the nail on the head in this department quite like F.E.A.R. has. Speaking of F.E.A.R.'s most unique properties, I can't forget to mention the enemy AI in this game. The enemy design in this game is the stuff of legend, and this is because the AI will react appropriately to any action you take. Here's some of the best examples. If you approach a combat zone with your flashlight turned on, the AI will actually call out and move to attack you. Enemies will actively move to flank you any chance they get, and they have a lot of chances. Enemies openly communicate during fights, and you can often use their dialogue to outmaneuver them and take them out. As more enemies die, the remaining enemies will grow increasingly defensive. They will hold a position and stop communicating entirely. You can get into like a Mexican standoff with them for minutes on end unless one of you makes a move. As you can see, a lot of detail was put into the enemies in this game. Despite being nameless, faceless clone soldiers, these enemies are incredibly memorable due to their unique behavior. Hearing these soldiers transition from moving in organized squads to getting caught in absolute chaos attempting to kill you makes them so much more exciting to fight than the average FPS enemy. So F.E.A.R. has awesome weapons, intense environmental effects, and engaging enemies. It also has one more thing I've failed to mention that you've surely noticed in the footage. That's right, F.E.A.R. has bullet time as well. Bullet time in this game is the cherry on top of the amazing combat this game already has. At any moment, you can hit the bullet time to slow down the action and savor the combat. It also gives you a fair leg up on the enemies since you'll act much faster than the enemies do. It's recommended that you don't skimp on using it too much, since enemies can melt you pretty quickly in this game. That, and it's just too cool to let go to waste. If you enjoy FPS games of any kind, I highly suggest you pick up F.E.A.R. It's definitely one of the best single-player FPSs I've ever played, up there with games like Wolfenstein: The New Order and Doom 2016. It really hits that action movie-style combat on the head with its over-the-top combat and bullet-time mechanics. The only real drawback is that you can't buy the game on its own anymore on Steam. If you want to buy it on Steam, you have to buy it as part of the F.E.A.R. series bundle, and unfortunately the other F.E.A.R. titles are legitimate garbage. However, the bundle does usually go on sale for around $12 when the Steam sales come around, and I wholeheartedly think it's worth that price. You can also pick it up on GOG by itself for $10 if you'd prefer. Both versions come with 2 expansions, those being Perseus Mandate, which sucks, and Extraction Point, which is an excellent add-on that is almost better than the base game in places. Despite the slight hurdle when it comes to buying the game, F.E.A.R. is wholeheartedly worth playing, and honestly one of my favorite experiences I've ever had with a game.